Hi, I'm Catherine Llewellyn, the host of the podcast. You can find out all about Truth and Transcendence on truthandtranscendence.com. And you can find out all about me on beingspace.world, where you will find my online coaching offering, as well as my UK-based workshops. The Freedom of Spirit workshop for liberation and empowerment, the Pellower Radical Shift in Consciousness workshop for spiritual expansion, and transformational coaching for exploring the mind-body-spirit connection on the expansive path. You can also support the podcast by actually making a donation. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. You can find all our other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. So earlier today, I was thinking, I'll record some solo episodes this afternoon. And I experienced a deep, deep feeling of having nothing worthwhile to say. There's a deep sense of, I'm bored with myself. I'm bored with my own ideas. Surely I've run out of things to talk about. And, then I thought a few things to talk about. And then I thought, I'm going to talk about whether or not we have anything to talk about. And reflecting on that, a couple of things I've noticed. So one is that at every point in our evolution as a culture, our societal evolving as things change as we go through time, there's always this question of what is worth talking about, what is worth listening to, what's of value and what isn't. And one of the things that we tend to do as humans is we tend to try to shortcut these questions. We tend to try to steer away from the difficult, vulnerable, confusing, possibly scary experience of not knowing if we have anything worthwhile to say, not knowing if we're going to be able to be authentic in the next moment, not knowing if it's all going to just be horribly pointless. And why did I even bother? And it's just a massive embarrassment. And I'm going to walk down the street and see people looking at me and just know that they know that I went online or wrote something and it was just absolute crap or nonsense, waste of space. The trouble with it is that actually being able and willing to go into that space is part of real life. It's part of real life. And the minute we are saying no to part of real life, we're actually saying no to the rest of real life because we're being conditional. It's a bit like if you say, well, I love you unconditionally. Right? I love you unconditionally. No conditions. Except if you leave the top off the toothpaste one more time, I won't love you. Or except if you reverse your car into my car when I've just got it back from the, the people who clean it and polish it and make it look fantastic. Or unless. So so often we are conditional. And in this idea of actually thinking about committing to being somebody who communicates something that's real and authentic in the moment, the minute we start saying, well, that experience I will have, and that experience I won't have on my journey to speaking and sharing and putting something out. So one of the ways that we've learned to survive this tendency to not want to have those uncomfortable feelings is to try to categorize what is interesting and worthwhile and what is not interesting and worthwhile to talk about. And one of the things these days that is considered to be interesting and real and authentic is talking about our suffering or our breakdown or our trauma and how we learnt from that, survived from that, transformed from that, and are now a much more enlightened and happy person. Now, that's an interesting thing because those stories, when they're real, when they're authentic, communicated authentically, are actually very compelling, very powerful, and full of meaning and full of insight and learning. But the trouble is, if we say to ourselves, right, those stories are always really interesting. So those are the stories I'm always going to tell. Those are the stories that are now popular. Those are the stories that are going to now enable you to start a podcast that will be successful, let's say, or write a book that will be successful. What we've done is we've tried to package up authenticity. We've tried to turn it into a commodity. The minute we do that, we completely devalue it. So this is an interesting conundrum, because in real life, sometimes what's true for us is that we've suffered or we are suffering. Sometimes in life, that's not the case. Sometimes in life, there's something completely else going on. But if we're always thinking, for example, my story, in order to be interesting, always has to include an element of suffering and transforming the suffering, what we're doing is we're becoming really inauthentic. Because what we're doing is we are following a pattern and following a trend, and we are completely discounting all the other miraculous and interesting truths of life. Like the morning where you wake up and you feel really good in your body and you're breathing easily. You start to feel an appetite growing for a delicious breakfast. You turn your head and there's this fantastic human being next to you. Or you notice there's a beautiful cat or dog or some other creature lying on the bed next to you, looking at you lovingly. You hear laughter from the other room of children or grandchildren. You hear the birds outside. You can feel the sun on your face coming in through the window. Now, that is just as interesting and beautiful as a story of suffering, loss, and trauma. But it's not very fashionable these days. So this is just one example of ways in which we sidestep the difficult experience of being with ourselves and with what's real and true for us, and seeing what there is there to be communicated and experienced and shared and given. So the invitation I would offer you for this coming week is to tune in to yourself and say, to what degree am I valuing all of the experiences I have in my life? Am I valuing the fear and the dread and the anxiety? Am I valuing the joy and the bliss and the happiness? Am I valuing the confusion and the misunderstanding? Am I valuing the love and the connection? Am I valuing the isolation and the beautiful space of being by myself? Am I valuing all of these experiences? And I don't mean, do I like them? Or what I mean is, am I recognizing that each and every one of them has an equal potential to be valued and to be grateful for and to be appreciated? And it's not just all about the drama, or it's not just all about the ecstasy and the bliss. It's about going a layer below that and recognizing that all of these are the myriad colors of life. And when I'm communicating with other people and sharing with other people, which parts am I willing to share openly and freely and letting go of it as I do it? Where am I willing to go? How broad am I prepared to have my contribution be? Or am I censoring myself? Or am I trying to funnel myself into a particular way of being, sharing, presenting myself and showing up? And is that working for me? Is it working for me? Is the ultimate question. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a fantastic week. Or have an awful week. But really have your week, however your week is. And I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. It really helps if you give a thumbs up, a 5-star rating, a review, and share with your friends. If you're looking for transformational coaching or an intensive transformational weekend workshop experience, I can help with that. You can actually help the show by making a donation. Until next time, take care.